Newt, it's so great to have you back at the video store. It's been so long. Here we are, second week in November. Oh man, it's been great. How was Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In?
It was good. We had a good time out in California.
Right. You, Darcy, and Joe Bob, right?
Yeah, we had a great time when we went out there.
And our award-winning film, the crowd loved it, right?
They sure did. They loved it.
Nice. And let's see, what else can we catch? Oh, the election happened. And you know what? Some people wanted the one person from that party to win, and some people wanted the other person from the other party to win.
And some people are very upset that one party didn't win, while other people are very happy that the other party won.
And no matter what, I think we can both agree that it definitely happened and it's done now.
And it's definitely not the end of October, and we filmed this.
Released
it in November.
This is November. I really love November right now.
It's so close to Thanksgiving.
So close. And speaking of which, this is on Monday, but this Friday, we got a Friday the 13th coming up.
So we should discuss the Friday the 13th movies.
Yes. I figured we'd do the first three. We'll do these in threes because there's 12 of them.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, I mean, this isn't going to be as in-depth as usual stuff because I assume most people watching the channel have seen them. Also, as much as I love these movies, there's really not super lot to talk about.
I sat down and I watched them and I was like, who hasn't reviewed Friday the 13th at this point?
Everyone has reviewed it. But yeah, let's go through the movies.
Okay, so I guess what I wanted to talk about was my introduction to the Friday the 13th series.
Okay.
All right, because I'm 39 and I definitely did not turn 39 yesterday on October 23rd.
No.
It was a month ago because it's November now.
Yes.
Post-election and post-Los Angeles.
Yes.
November.
Yes.
2020. So I'm 39, so I remember when these came out like every year.
Yeah.
All right. So my earliest introduction to Friday the 13th was, and I called my aunt the other night to make sure, not in October, in November.
Yes.
To ask her if I was right about this. So this was like 87, and there's no internet at this point.
No.
I didn't even know what Fangoria was till 89. My aunt used to babysit me when I was a little kid, and there was a dude who lived behind us who was like 17, and he had like a dirt stash and a mullet and a moped, and my aunt was like trying to like flirt with him, and he was telling me about Friday the 13th, and I'm like 6 years old, but he's explaining, I don't realize there's like this many of them yet, so he's explaining all of them to me as if they're one movie. So I'm like, oh my God, like this sounds like the craziest thing ever. So I'm hearing about this, and in your mind's eye, you're filling in the gaps of what it looks like and all that. So I had this friend, and he, his name was Ryan, and he had a very religious family.
Okay.
And I used to go to his house because I had Nintendo, and he had the Sega Master System, and we were playing like Rambo and Ghostbusters on there and stuff like that. And he was telling me, well, this summer I'm going to summer camp.
Oh no!
And I'm like, oh, don't have sex or Jason will get you. And his mom overheard me. I didn't know what sex was. I had never seen the Friday the 13th movies. So his mom, I was never allowed to go play with that kid again. And I haven't seen him since 1987. But that was what introduced me to the Friday the 13th movies. So that's where I came into it, and then I've seen all of them, but I saw them super out of order. So
a lot of people have.
It doesn't even really matter.
Which I will say, which is good for the early ones. So movies used to do this all the time. Because when did home video get like super common?
I want to say like probably like the mid 80s, you know?
Maybe.
Tapes were like insane. I remember my dad telling me like how expensive E.T. was, you know?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of things were expensive, so you maybe weren't able to get like the whole series. Maybe until like the 90s and 2000s. So movies used to recap what happened in the previous movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about these. This is why the early ones you can watch out of order. It's like, what did I miss? Oh, they're going to play the last 10 minutes.
Tell you everything about it,
I kind of wish movies would do that these days.
Yeah.
It's not good for binging, because I watched 3 back to back, and I was like, all right, I can skip the beginning, because it's just the ending. But I kind of miss, because it's hard to jump into new franchises. To like try jumping into fucking Marvel right now.
No, exactly. Well, that's like, and these movies were sort of like what the Fast and the Furious movies are now. There's like one a year, and there's so many of them. And they kind of, they you kind of have to know things, and later on in this series it gets like that. Like you have to know some of the specifics, but really they just reset themselves every time.
Yeah, the continuity in the series as we go through it is ridiculous.
So I guess let's start with Friday the 13th Part 1, when it was just called Friday the 13th.
Yes. So my introduction, like I was aware of these movies. I used to go to the store and look at the back of the tapes and stuff. First one I remember watching all the way through was 8 with my mom. And then we watched, I think 2 came on afterwards for some reason. They aired it that way. But then I bought the first one and I bought, can you hold that tape up?
Oh yeah.
I showed this on Rental Reviews. I have this like awful 2001 reissue of it.
And it's like, who is that supposed to be?
Who knows? So I watched the first one. I started like watching them in order and I really loved the first one. So it was filmed in New Jersey.
Yes, and that's what I think was the thing that most attracted me because I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this movie's set in New Jersey, and I was like, oh, I'm interested.
Yeah,
like,
they don't really. I don't think they really say it. But,
no, it's in like it's on like a flag in the general store.
But the thing is, so I used to go to. I didn't go to like summer camp, but I was a Boy Scout, and we would go to camping sites that look just like this. Like almost exactly like this. So like this film, I would watch it in my teens as I was going camping.
Yeah.
And like the first one really, really sticks with me because of how authentic it feels. And I really think it's a solid film. It's not great.
Yeah, so I think I...
Oh, God.
I think I think I saw this one like much later than the other ones, but I already knew what the twist was because of pop culture.
Yeah.
From going back and watching 1, 2, 3, and 4 over again, I forgot how much filler is in these movies.
You call it filler. For this one, I think it's suspense. Because there's a lot of scenes that linger for a while.
Steve Christie, who's the guy who who runs the camp, he looks like Tobias as a Never Nude when we meet him.
He does look like Tobias.
So the guy who from Arrested Development. It's just so funny when you introduce to him because alright. So in the beginning, it starts with like these kids and they're doing like a kumbaya,
and it's like in the 60s,
or something
50s,
like that.
Yeah,
and the girl kind of gives the guy the look, and they go into like a shed to have sex.
Yeah.
And they're killed by an unseen person.
So this came out after Halloween.
Yeah.
And they definitely like the POV stuff in Halloween. Yes.
So and then you kind of flash forward to modern day, which is 1980.
Yeah.
And they're reopening the camp for the first time, and it's been, this bad stuff happens there all the time.
Yeah.
And they're kind of giving the girl who's like, I guess she's the cook, the recap of like, they call it's cursed.
Yeah, it's called Camp Blood Crazy Ralph.
Crazy Ralph is a great character. That's what I love about this movie is they probably just found like local community actors from like New Jersey to be in it. Because one of my favorite scenes is when Steve Christie goes to the diner and there's like the lady with like the weird like beehive haircut and stuff like that.
Who else was in this movie? Kevin Bacon.
The Baconator was in this movie.
The very early Kevin Bacon movie. Probably his first.
Probably, yeah. And he died, and he's from Philadelphia. Him and his brother are from Philadelphia. Their dad was the city planner of Philadelphia in like the 60s or 70s. Yeah. I thought he was, going back and rewatching it, I thought that he dies much later in the movie than he actually does.
Yeah.
Everybody just kind of like, I was like, oh, he's actually one of the most natural actors in it.
They kind of get killed in like quick succession besides the cook, Annie. I want to say the gore in this is really good, and if you can, it's easy to find out. Get the uncut version, the unrated cut. Because like when the cook gets like her throat slashed, it's pretty brutal. The regular version they just cut to white.
And because the famous Kevin Bacon one is the arrow through the throat. The arrow
through the throat, which is on the cover. No, it's not.
It's funny to see like because I saw him VHS, but when you watch him in HD, like you can tell the discoloration on the neck and stuff like that. It's just kind of funny.
But I think the cast is the characters aren't very memorable, but like they're likable. Like in the moment, I'm like, all right, I feel like this is how these people would
Except
act.
for the guy who's like dressed as a Native American when the cop shows up, and I was
how do you know he doesn't have Native American roots?
I'm just saying.
He could be 1/24 Cherokee. You don't know that.
He could be. But yeah, it's the one time where somebody died, and you go, well, how was he dressed? And I was like, well, he was.
But yeah, I think the movie's fun. It's good. My issue with it, the bad. So the movie's framed as a whodunit.
Yes.
Okay, that's why there's a lot of POV kills. And Steve Christie, the camp counselor, the head counselor, he's the red herring in it. but you never really get the impression he's actually the killer. Like, the killer drives the same Jeep and kind of dresses the same.
Yeah.
And that's it, but I'm like, that guy's not the killer. So in a whodunit, I mean, you could be experimental and break the rules, but usually you want to introduce the killer somewhere earlier in the story.
Not in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
No, because the fun part of a whodunit is trying to figure out who did it. I was like, all right, well, there's the red herring. I'm like, could it be this person kill him? Could it be that person kill him?
Yeah.
Could it be like the truck driver? Or, well, no, that wouldn't have made sense. But anyway, like, did Ralph do it? Did this person?
Well, they kind of lead you to believe that Ralph is the killer. Because
either Ralph or Christy.
Yeah, because and then there's the
or maybe the cop.
Maybe the cop,
motorcycle cop.
Yeah, the motorcycle cop.
Which, by the way, this is very old, but remember AIM, Instant Messenger?
Yeah.
You can customize your sounds, and I used to be on Friday the 13th fan sites because girls didn't talk to me for a long time.
Yeah.
So I downloaded like all these like audio clips, and what'd you call it? When someone would message me, it would be the cop going, "Sit on it, Tonto." Like, it would just play like that.
Guy named Ralph. Town crazy.
Well, there's no crazy people around here, right?
I told you to sit on it, Tonto.
But yeah, so you want to like introduce these characters that way you guess, and then when it gets revealed, you're like, oh, it was that person.
Yeah.
I was like, but yeah, no, this movie, it's like, oh, by the way, here's an old lady. She's the killer. It's like, what?
And she's going around killing people in all these brutal ways, but then when they finally have the confrontation, she just slaps a bitch. Like,
yeah, and it's very clear it's a man's body.
Oh yeah,
for most of the movie.
Tom Savini's friend did the all the hand stuff because he's got like super hairy knuckles.
Yeah, you couldn't just shave his hand. No one had a razor to shave his hand.
So yeah, so that was kind of like, Jason's not the killer in the first one.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
And the reason that the mom is killing is great, but I would have introduced her earlier in the movie.
They mentioned Jason earlier, not by name, but they mentioned that there was a kid. They never mentioned the mom. Never mentioned anything.
And Jason's original name was going to be Josh.
That's pretty funny.
Could you imagine if like years later, like we're talking about like,
oh, remember Josh X?
Because you know how like they have like haunted attractions like Jason's Woods, like now it's Josh's Woods.
I will say though, Betsy Palmer is really good.
She is, and it's funny because she didn't give a shit about this role,
and she does a great job. Which is great.
Yeah, which is funny. It's like she did it because she wanted to buy a car.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's scenes where, like, she knows that she's the killer. We think something's up. When she's, like, up against the door frame and she's like, oh, they never should have reopened this place. And it's like she's dramatic. And then when she turns out to be the killer, you're like, oh, it's great. Like, I like that.
She's talking like the little kid and stuff. And she was really good. And she was, like, the sweetest lady. If you ever met her?
I met her at Monster Mania a couple times in New Jersey.
Cut to a picture of her and my dad awkwardly hugging. No, Betsy Palmer was great. She was so nice, and I remember seeing like Q&As with her. She gave her character like a whole background. Yeah, she was like, I came up with this character. Like maybe I got pregnant when I was too young.
Yeah, yep.
Then she found out her kid was like deformed. And she was like, oh god.
She didn't find that out until
like way later.
And later, she's like, why does he look like that? It's like, oh, he's a Mongoloid. And they were like, wait, what?
Which you can't say these days.
Oh, that's
true. You
true.
also aren't allowed to kill actual snakes these days. That happens.
Which they
in the
did.
movie.
Yeah, they killed this. I mean, it was the same year that Cannibal Holocaust came out.
So
I mean, you're looking at Sean S. Cunningham, who directed it. Who like made porno movies before this. And they called the movie Friday the 13th. They put out an ad in Variety thinking they were going to get sued, but instead all these producers were contacting them going, we want to pre-purchase this movie. It was funny in the documentary, they were going to put the money into a strip mall, and instead they made this movie, and he's like, oh, if we waited one more day, the money was going to be gone to put into something else. And I mean, they made this franchise, which they never intended to have the ending scene that everybody knows,
Jason coming out
of the water. It was really Tom Savini. They went to go see Carrie, which has that ending where the hand comes out of the grave. And they said, I think we can get one more scare into here. So that's what they added. So really, it was like such an afterthought. But he became the franchise.
Which we're getting into that one, but a little bit more in this movie. I do like how it's not clear who the main character of this movie is. Not that there is a main character, which I think works for... I mean, obviously, Halloween, Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
But I think, like, horror movies, like, you think about it... It's weird to compare this to Alien, but Alien, there's real no main character.
Until someone shakes free at the end.
Yeah,
you know?
But that adds a layer of suspense. Like, you don't always need in a horror movie like this, where like you don't know who's gonna live or die, you don't really need a central main character.
Exactly. Yeah, because Alice is kind of boring.
Yeah, but you
know?
don't really know she's the final. Like honestly, every time you watch this, it's like the cook seems like that's the character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's not.
The cook in the beginning in the Jeep looks like my mom in 1982. Like you look at old pictures and it's like I guess like women just had that haircut, but whatever.
And then there was the one girl who kept talking like she was like an old school actress. That was a little weird.
Yeah.
When I looked into that mirror, I knew I'd always be ugly. I said, Lizzie, you'll always be plain.
But no, yeah, really good movie. And then Betsy Palmer gets her head cut off and turns into a man for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, but they put a ring on. Mm-hmm. They couldn't shave his hair, but they
like,
put a ring on.
Nobody will notice because they cut out in the original cut. The hand is reaching up where the head was.
Yeah.
And they cut it down in the theatrical version. And first time I ever saw these movies was on TV.
Yeah.
Like regular TV. So they cut out all the good stuff. So it wasn't until years later that I saw all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have this. Nothing happens for a good portion of this movie. Like they show people making coffee in great detail. They show Alice barricading the door in great detail, but then she just moves it and goes outside. And you're
but
like,
look, I think it works. I think it's for me. It's not. I don't feel like it's padding. It becomes padding in other movies, but I feel like it's very suspenseful. Yeah. No.
It's a solid way to to start a franchise.
It's honestly the only thing that holds it back for me is the whole whodunit thing.
Yeah, and then the ending. I think that when Jason pops up out of the lake, the movie should have ended there because it is brilliant the way that they like the music swells and the cops.
Oh, the music's really great. Harry Manfredini's music is really
it's basically
good.
just this. A lot of it's just the Psycho music redone. But,
not as bad as Reanimator.
Well,
did.
that's true. They just put it in a different key.
Yeah.
I like the ending a lot, but I feel like to go now then to she wakes up screaming and she's in the hospital. I was like. They should have ended it right there.
I do like that scene though because the nurse looks at the lens.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, all right.
There's so many in all these movies. Going back and rewatching them, like remembering when I was a kid, like little weird things like that have always just stuck with me, and I just remember them. So that's Friday the 13th. Part 1.
Now part 2. How are they gonna follow this one up? I really like the beginning.
Yes.
Because it makes you think, all right, well, because, they're coming off of, like, Halloween, too. So they're like, well, obviously, people are going to expect Alice. Alice
is the first one.
Yeah.
Well, it starts off with a little kid walking in the rain by himself singing Itsy Bitsy Spider. And you know how, like, they always create, like, the fan communities create, like, their own continuity for characters? Like, some people believe that Ralph is actually Jason's dad. Like, I want a spin-off story of that kid who saw Jason, because... First off, how did Jason get to wherever Alice is now?
Yeah, it's not very clear.
No.
It sets you up to think he's a smarter killer, and then he is not.
Not at all, yeah.
Yeah, so Alice is like, and I actually I really wish there was a movie that's just about the aftermath of a girl surviving a horror thing.
Yeah.
Now, I know Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 tried, but I'm talking about, like, all the movies that do it, it's like they have to confront another killer. I just want a movie, there is no killer.
Yeah.
It's just someone who survived a horror movie that's just like, I don't know how to live anymore.
How was her dating life? How was her, like, home life,
Yeah, you don't even need the killer. It'd just be like a...
If you survived a killer like that, would you have a cat knowing that cats jump in like assholes all the time and try to scare you?
Yeah, so they're setting her up, and she's, like, trying to pick up the pieces of her life. She's talking to her mom, and then she opens up her refrigerator, and it's Mrs. Voorhees' head. And then she
before that, there's just like a random, like you think she goes into the shower. You think it's gonna be the POV shot is like Jason or whatever, and then she pulls it back, and no, it's nothing. And I'm like,
it's nothing.
Now, who takes a shower that's that short? I mean,
And who, like, aggressively is like, oh!
Yeah, exactly. Unless, like, that's how she's coping with surviving. Maybe. So she puts, her cat jumps out and scares her.
She puts the tea kettle
on there, which, Jason is considerate because he takes it off afterwards.
Yeah, after he shoves the ice pick in her head.
She opens the fridge. There's Mrs. Voorhees' head. How did he get the head?
Yeah, wasn't that evidence?
Yeah. Just like in the end of the movie, the sweater, like, how did he...
Yeah, wait, wouldn't that also be evidence? Oh, by the way, Jason's alive.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think, like, Tom Savini and them, like, hated this idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, okay, well, that was the whole previous killer's motivation. Mm-hmm. But they don't even, like, explain... They try to be like, how could this happen? It's like, wait, no, he drowned. Okay, now you're saying he's alive. and he's an adult. It's like, but his mom didn't know he was alive.
But he's always been at the camp, and she's always been around the camp, and then they say he saw her get decapitated.
How do they know that?
How do
Who
they know
knows?
that? I mean, yeah, because in the second one, Amy Steele's character's name is...
Ginny.
Ginny? Okay.
Yeah.
Ginny's like a child psychiatrist,
Yes.
and that's why she's at the camp. So I like that she gives like some sort of, tries to give some kind of motivation and semblance of order to this entire story.
But she uses an outdated term.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're not going to repeat. But you should definitely cancel this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jason's the killer. And again, this one is another, like, is he the killer? Is it just a crazy guy? And it's like, no, he's the killer.
Yeah.
This one's not as good.
What I like about this one is once you get past the Jason killing the remaining character from the first one, you have the campfire tale, which I think is really cool.
That one's good.
Which, like, the first two movies have that feeling of, like, I never went to summer camp, but I remember getting together with my friends and, like, telling each other stories. And, like, every town has their own legend.
Yeah.
And he's kind of that legend. So I like that they're all getting together and they're retelling the events of the first movie, but in a way that you would in, like, a urban legend kind of way.
By the way, this is 5 years later.
5
so
years
even
later.
though this movie came out in 1981, this is supposed to be 1985.
The continuity in these movies make no sense.
Apparently in Jersey, they were behind on the fashion trends.
Well, I live in Pennsylvania now, so
yeah. But no, that campfire scene is really good. But
and then the tall, lengthy, redheaded dude pops out,
who doesn't die. By the way, they realized they made a mistake, and they're like, "Shit, we have a lot of characters here." The camp's not even open. It's just the counselors, like the first one. It's just the counselors getting ready. It's basically the first one,
but they're at a different camp.
They're at a camp that's near Camp Blood. And then the cops are mad that he's opening the camp, but the camp's been fine.
Yeah, it's an other camp on a different place. That's like, I've never... Yeah. And I was thinking about it, I was like, all right, where I grew up, I'm thinking about where summer camps were.
Yeah.
There was never a summer camp next to a summer camp.
I can't think of one.
I can't, because like out where I used to live near a thing called Camp Okanagan.
Yeah.
Which is out in Medford, New Jersey. And... that was the only camp around there. And then there's like Liberty Lake where we filmed our award-winning film.
Award-winning film.
That totally screened last month in Los Angeles and not this coming Tuesday.
And you said Joe Bob personally stood up and applauded.
He did. He said, I want to meet Tony from Hack the Movies.
He did.
And I was like...
and then I was like, you told him that you've already met him.
And he remembered right away because he said that it was one of the most important moments. Yeah. It was meeting Tony from Hack the Movies, being in a Scorsese movie, and there was a long distance there in between.
Yes, and I think you said he even said I was like a son to him, so that was cool.
Yeah, one of the best young up and coming filmmakers. It was a lot of that stuff, and I
can't believe that actually happened at Haunted Drive-In, which happened in the past. And definitely
and totally not
in the future
or the
present. So Friday the 13th. I will say that. As much as I like the suspense in the previous one, this one's just this one starts to feel like filler.
Yeah.
I do like the braless wonder.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of braless wonders in there. Bras are optional.
Hey, here's the thing. Thinking about this, like, 80s boobs were just different. If you go back and watch these movies and you think about modern day boobs and you go, 80s boobs were different. You know?
Oh, but getting back to characters. They had way too many characters.
Yes.
And the most likable one is Wheelchair Guy. You feel... So, like, he got into an accident or something, but he thinks he can get his legs back, and he was, like, this football guy.
And he doesn't even get laid, and even after the
girl's, like, really into him.
Yeah, she sprays, like, perfume down on her hoo-ha and stuff
Which I had to ask my girlfriend about, and I was like, is that a thing girls do? And she's like, no, that's actually very unsanitary.
Yeah, and I can imagine...
anything. And then my girlfriend went way too into detail about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, so this guy, like, really wanted to get laid, and... You just feel so bad for him. He's the best kill of the movie.
He is the best kill of the movie and the longest staircase. Like it's like the staircase the Joker went down.
By the way, have you played the Friday the 13th game?
Yes.
Yeah.
The NES one?
No, the new one.
Oh no, I haven't.
We gotta play that at some point. I mean, Victor Miller kind of fucked that game up, but they recreated all the locations and it has the long staircase.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, but like. At one point, you could tell the filmmakers were like, we got to get rid of all these counselors. So they're like, all right, guys, it's the day before the kids come.
Yeah.
Let's all go to town.
Because there's like, there's at that one, the guy and the girl who get killed in the same way from the Mario Bava movie where he escapes them. That's double penetration if you ask me. They rip off the scene from Mario Bava movie, but that couple, like, they get in trouble for going to, like, where Camp Crystal Lake was, and the cops come, and then, so the guy who's in charge of the camp is like, well, you two are gonna stay behind, and everybody else is like, yeah, we're going to camp, and they pan, like, this long table of all these other counselors that just vanish. There's this black guy who's dressed like the Ghoulie from the Ghoulies poster. Yeah. He's wearing, like, a tight blue shirt with the rainbow suspenders, like, Where'd that guy go?
He's great. He's the best character.
Yes, but so
the dorky redhead guy, he just stays in town. He never goes back. I'm like 100%. I thought that guy was getting killed.
Oh yeah, because I anybody who knows me knows I don't trust or like redheads. But that dude's like, I'm just gonna keep drinking.
I got the same feeling in The Burning when I saw Jason Alexander. I'm like, well, clearly he's dying, and then he survives.
Yeah, and he's the jock of the movie. The Burning was like one of those like rip-off movies that came after this.
Yeah, so, one thing I didn't like.
Yeah.
They killed Crazy Ralph.
They did kill Crazy Ralph.
Yes. Yeah. Poor Crazy Ralph. I really thought he was gonna go places. Because now he's hanging out at the camp.
1 and 2, it's really like, oh, he's a crazy person. We gotta be careful.
Oh! Is that the ghost? Is that?
I actually put my phone on silent this time. I don't know why I did that. I'm probably getting yelled at some more by someone who's not in this review. It's Ralph is like intimidating until you see him on a bicycle.
Yeah,
and it's very hard to be intimidated by an elderly man on a bicycle. Like,
one thing I noticed about Jason's kills in this, he always has the knife backwards.
Yes.
I don't know how the blunt... Can you open up that machete there? So he kills the guy with this part of the... Now, this would hurt.
Yeah.
This would definitely crack your skull, but it's not serrated. I don't know how he's stabbing people so well with the back of it.
So many of the kills were, like, cut short, too. Like, there's the one girl who, like... There's the one girl who's, like, the creepy dude hits her in the butt with the...
with the rock,
The rock. And, like, they just linger on her shorts that, like, you know, they're... Why even wear shorts at that point?
I was totally fine with that scene.
When she comes out of the thing and she turns and screams, you think she's going to get killed, but they cut directly to a guitar. And I'm like, well, then what was the point of that, you know?
The kills are kind of tame until the staircase and the
I like the cop gets the claw hammer to the back of the head.
I like Jason's shack. I really like Jason's shack in it.
So that's like, okay, Jason is a crazy Hills Have Eyes style guy in this one.
He's the killer from the town that
dreaded sundown. Yeah, a video we reviewed in October a month ago.
Yes.
He's got a sack on his head with the one eyeball cut out.
Yeah.
And he lives in like a shack that he like built in the woods of like ramshackled pieces that he found.
It's like you see like a shanty town, but it's in the woods of New Jersey.
He's got his mother's head and her sweater, which somehow he was able to get from evidence.
And then he's got Alice with the stake in her head, with a pike in her head next to it. Oh, he kills a little dog. Fluffy.
I don't remember the dog's name, but he doesn't kill the dog because the dog shows back up.
No, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
We'll get back to that. You find the dog's mangled body. But yeah, so they do the POV thing for the most part, but then they eventually do show Jason.
Yeah.
And it looks stupid. Like, I've seen The Town That Dreads Sundown Killer. I haven't seen the movie, but he looks cool. This one with, like, his overalls and the sack. And I'm like, all right, I got what they were going for. It's one of those things, the reboot, the 2009 or 2008 one.
Yeah.
The sack in that one looked way cooler.
Exactly, yeah. But it's just another thing. It's like, it's so funny that what we know as Jason doesn't actually start to come into
at the very end of 3.
Till the very end of 3. And then the other stuff that we know about him doesn't really start to come into like part 6 or 7, you know?
Yeah, so Jason comes around and I actually don't mind, because at this point you like know who the killer is, so you don't really need to do I don't know why they went all in on the POV stuff again.
Yeah, I guess
or like the hiding stuff, because like, all right,
it's a visual continuity. So so the counselor, he's picking off some counselors, and a lot of this movie is also like a lot of filler to get to things.
Yeah,
and then he starts picking off the counselors, and the kills are a little bit muted until you get to it's pouring down rain, and the handicapped guy is like, he can't play football, but he can play electric football. No, they're playing hockey, because she's like, what's the one with the puck?
Yeah.
And she's thirsty as shit, man. She wants to park that wheelchair close to her building, you know?
But yeah, and then the ending is absurd. So Ginny goes to the shack. She's running away from him. And she sees the head and the sweater and assumes it's his mom.
Yeah.
And then she puts the sweater on and then does her hair.
Adjusts her hair to look like a shriveled zombie head.
Kind of. And then Jason walks in and she starts pretending to be his mom.
And then you cut to, like, superimposed Betsy Palmer head.
Yeah.
Which is a cool idea, even though it doesn't make any sense, because it's a
Yeah, because she just looks nuts. I'm like, how dumb is Jason?
Well,
like,
clearly.
Anyone should know, like, that's not
my mom. Like,
yeah. And he's like,
I've been living with her head at this shrine that I have here.
Yeah, and then she machetes his shoulder.
Yeah.
Which is an injury that will not matter in the next one.
At all.
If anything, his shoulders in the next one are buffer. I don't know what happened.
Thanks, it was working out. That cut up the ligament and made it free to pump more
so
iron.
then Paul shows up and they take his mask off, but they don't show you. Because that wasn't until later where it's like you have to take his mask off at the end.
Each movie. Which is so different than like the Halloween movies where like not showing Michael Myers' face is more important, you know?
Yeah, so then the ending is so confusing. They get back to the house. The dog shows up, which was dead.
Yeah.
And then Jason jumps through the window, and I got a funny story about that, Jason, in a second. He jumps through the window and grabs her, but then it's a dream. Mm-hmm. So she dreamed the dog to life that she didn't know was dead.
Yes.
And then she's on the gurney and she's like, "Where's Paul? Where's Paul?" And then the movie ends. It's like, well, did Paul die?
What happened to Paul?
Did that dream sequence, was that real? What the fuck happened at the end of this movie? I don't get it. You know what I did like though? When she's peeing herself because there's like a mouse under the bed.
Oh yeah.
And that shows Jason where she is. I'm like, you don't really see a lot of peeing yourself in horror movies.
No, well,
you'd think it would happen more.
Well, yeah, maybe it's Sean S. Cunningham also did Last House on the Left, which they forced the girl to pee her pants. Remember that in the movie?
Right.
But yeah, Jason's like a weird mutant-faced redhead guy, and he jumps through the window. That's what these movies have a lot of people jumping through or being thrown through windows.
Yeah. So here's the thing. That Jason, I think, is played by Warren Juliet, who I have an autograph of.
Okay.
I met him at one of the first Monster Manias, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Jason too. And then we went to another convention, and I see the other guy who played Jason too.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, wait, I thought I met, I guess you also played Jason in that movie? And he's like, yeah, really. The guy who was Jason for most of this movie, I remember him telling me, like, how much he hates the other guy, because he was only in that one scene. Where he jumped in, but he was like apparently going around to conventions saying that he was Jason too, like he was the main Jason.
Well, Ari Lehman, who's little kid Jason, has like a whole band, and he's called like First Jason.
Yeah. So like I thought that was like the two Jasons hate each other because one is going around. I still have his autograph. It's like it's him jumping through the window.
Oh man.
But yeah, two I only ever watch if I'm like binging them.
Yeah.
I rarely go back to just watch.
That's why when I went back and I rewatched it, some of the stuff that was in 2 I thought was in part 3 because they all kind of get jumbled together in my head at certain points. So that's Friday the 13th part 2, you know.
So Newt, that brings us to Friday the 13th part 3D.
3D.
And because I love gimmicks, if you're watching this on Patreon, you're watching it in VR 3D. So let's put on our glasses.
Everything is so red and blue.
Whoa, it's like we're actually in the store. Oh my god. Whoa, oh my, this is insane. It's like I'm actually here. You know what would be really annoying? The people who are watching this on just regular YouTube in 2D, they're going to think this is really obnoxious. Because I heard it's really obnoxious to watch 3D movies in 2D. But if you're on Patreon,
you can watch
you're watching 3D. This VR version. Whoa! Wait, watch out! Here comes a pen! Oh!
Jesus Christ.
So Friday the 13th, 3D.
Yeah.
Same director as the second one, I think, which was Steve Miner.
Yes. Yeah. Who's done a ton of genre stuff.
Who eventually did... Give me a second. Yes, Halloween H2O.
He did Halloween H2O.
Yes.
Blood is thicker than water. This is where we're officially in schlock territory.
Yeah. So Jason, it picks up right where the last one left off. Mm-hmm. He gets up from his shoulder wound.
Yeah.
And his first thought is like, well, I gotta change. Mm-hmm. He doesn't already have a change of clothes. He has a toilet and everything in that shed.
Yeah, that was funny in part 2. I was like, oh, he's got a toilet. That's good for him.
So then they made it clear in the second one, they're like, oh, he's like a scavenger, and he's been you get the idea he's only killing because he found out about a camp.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this one, he's like, well, I gotta go to this mom and pop
general store where there's a guy with a rabbit whose wife doesn't want him eating.
Yeah, and I gotta murder them and take their clothes. And now Jason is about 1.5 feet taller.
Yes.
He's bald suddenly. I guess he found time to shave. As we said, his shoulder is no longer injured. In fact, it's buffer. And they gave him like a little bit of a Frankenstein thing where his clothes are ill-fitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he looks, I mean, don't really get to see his face too much, but he looks a lot cooler.
Yeah. This is where we're starting to get to the Jason that we know.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, and I got scared watching the movie when the guy dropped the pole and then lifted up, and it was like it was really coming at me.
With a baseball bat and stuff like that?
Yeah, oh my God, it was so scary. So yeah, this was shot in 3D.
Yeah.
As was the style at the time. You got Jaws 3D,
Amityville 3D, yeah.
So one thing I noticed watching this on Blu-ray, I forgot the PSVR does 3D.
Okay.
And I forgot I could watch it in 3D because I don't have
These
a 3D
are my
TV.
glasses. These came from like at Walmart. They had like a 4-pack that I got like 10 years ago. And instead of having individual slots, they just jammed 4 DVDs onto one peg and were like, here's some glasses too. Enjoy.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this is a result of how they were filming the 3D, but when I say this is the dirtiest movie, I mean there's so much dirt and grime on the lens, and I think it's because of the 3D. When you watch it in HD Blu-ray, you know, like the whole movie, I'm like, I'm seeing like hairs and scratches everywhere.
They didn't care. These movies cost no money and made a fortune.
I guess. But yeah, so the whole thing is a 3D now. Again, this is the same week.
Yeah.
Jason just got up and got a new outfit.
And looked completely different.
And for some reason is going to just not even a summer camp anymore.
Now it's just a group of people going on vacation.
Yeah, a bunch of friends are going to this like cabin. And the one girl's returning there because something happened to her.
Yeah.
And she's bringing her friends along. The one guy, Shelly, who's the best character, who's in the video game.
Friends with Shelly.
Shelly's great. I love Shelly.
Tony's the Shelly of the Hack the Movies universe.
I can really relate to Shelly. He's like this. He's got like a fro and he's dorky looking.
Yeah.
He's real into acting and makeup
props.
effects.
He brings props with him.
I think Tom Savini came back for this one. Or
no, he came back for the next one.
No, but they mentioned him in this one. The girls reading Fangoria magazine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I think this character is like a reference to him. So a bunch of kids are going up to help their friend. I don't know. And the one
Their Spanish mom doesn't want the one girl to go.
The one girl's pregnant, which I forgot about until I watched it.
I rewatched it and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Then there's Tommy Chung, kind of.
Yeah, I was like, who are these people? Like,
you know what? I appreciate because the characters in the previous one, the second one, were kind of bland.
Yeah.
I appreciate how ridiculous everyone
in this is just like a schlock stereotype.
Yeah, so then the girl she goes to the cabin, she meets her boyfriend, who I think is pushing 40.
Yes.
She's supposed to be like 19 or something. And he just like right away, he's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. Let me jam my tongue down your throat. She's like, no.
Yeah, hey, why don't we pump the brakes
Let's
here,
hold
buddy?
on. So clearly something happened to her, and she has PTSD from it.
Yeah.
And like, I actually didn't mind that. I'm like, that's kind of interesting
Except
for these
that
movies.
except in the continuity of it, it doesn't make sense that Jason looked like this, but not the way he looked in the other one.
Oh,
And if
yeah,
he was-
by the way, it was Jason. We'll get to that. But what I do like, one thing I like about this is the biker gang.
Oh, the biker gang's great.
Which is Foxy, Loco,
and
Spider?
No, the other dude was like
the main guy, the bald guy. What
bald
was
guy.
he?
Yeah, I think he had like a biblical name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're
We'll look
they're just dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like are just messing with Shelly and the Spanish girl for no reason.
And I just remember being a kid and like thinking like there was just random biker gangs out there.
Yeah.
Because I saw this around the same time that I saw the original Mad Max movie when I was a kid. And I just imagined there was just roving gangs of bullies out in the real world.
Loco has 2 vests.
Yes, he does.
He has like a jean one, like a denim one, and like a leather one.
I'm hoping that's what we get to Kieran going for by the end of this year. Like, in 1 month at the end of this year.
So they destroy the car Shelley borrowed, and he destroys their motorcycles. And I could have just did a whole movie on that biker gang.
Well, because also you have that scene, going back and rewatching it, I forgot where they were like, we don't accept food stamps here. And I was like,
yeah!
What was that about?
Really, yeah, that was kind of messed up. So Jason's just at this cabin.
Yeah.
And he kills the biker gang.
And they have like a big barn there, and all that
they have
kind
a
of
big
stuff.
barn, and they're gonna go there to light something on fire, or steal their gas or something.
Yeah.
But then they're playing in the barn, and then Jason kills all of them. That one's actually cool when he goes up and the girl's got the pitchfork through her throat, and she's hanging.
Not
like,
Pam Grier.
Yeah,
Is that not Pam Grier?
That was pretty awesome. That character's in the video game.
Yeah.
Shelley, that character, and the hippie. I think they gave him different names for the video games, but I think the guy who did Shelley is the same
Is 3
actor.
the one where there's the random girl on the side of the road with the banana?
That's 4.
Is
You're
that
jumping
4?
ahead.
Oh,
That's
okay.
4.
I did forget which ones these things are.
But it's still the same week. That's still the same week, so that's understandable. It's okay, this one. And then the girl, you find out the girl was attacked by Jason. And then she blacked out.
And he just let her go.
I guess they're implying he's a rapist, but that's not really, we haven't really.
That'd be awesome if we find out she's pregnant with baby Jason. Like, that's a whole other movie.
No, because it was like months before this movie, so they would have shown at that point. But no, it's weird because it's like he didn't do that in the previous one. It didn't seem like he had any interest in doing that.
No, exactly.
And that's one thing, I kind of like the 2009 one, how they just shoved the 4 movies together.
Yeah.
And that one, he kidnaps a girl because it reminds him of his mother.
And he keeps her like in the cave thing.
Yeah. And I think they try to go from this, why he spared her, but like it doesn't make any sense.
But then they kind of did that again with the girl who was like afraid of swimming in like the other one that's later on.
Oh, that's obnoxious. That's a whole other story. Yeah. No, that one doesn't make any goddamn sense.
But they just keep repeating like things like, oh, whatever, that worked here. Just,
yeah. But so that was a weird addition to this. But then he kills everyone else, and the kills are a little bit better in this one.
They're a little bit better, yeah. I like the harpoon to the eyeball.
Oh, I hate that one.
Where he uses a gun.
No, that's the worst one. And I hate when they meet the bum and he has the eyeball to the. That's the worst scene.
Yeah, because they don't have Ralph's dead.
Oh, and then there was a third eyeball. The 40-year-old, 19-year-old man
squeezes the dude's. I love that shot because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
When he squeezes this dude's head and his eyeball pops out at the camera.
What? As ridiculous as that is, I actually liked before that where she's like looking outside and the camera pulls back and he's just being strangled and she has no idea.
There was some cool imagery in this one. You can tell that Steve Miner had a little bit more of like he wanted to kind of give it a little bit more mystery and a little bit kind of a cooler vibe to it. But the shoehorning in of the 3D is just really, really funny.
Yeah.
But it also
we're juggling.
But then it gets like I've got a yo-yo.
Yeah.
For 7 minutes, and I'm just like, oh my god, stop! Like, or like it's like, well, how does this work? They're in the hammock. And she's like, well, first you lay on top of me, and they're like explaining sex, and I'm like, oh my god.
Wait, dude, can I see that machete again?
Yeah.
I forgot we haven't been doing any scares. Oh no!
It's coming at the camera.
Newt, wait, we gotta pretend like we're not doing it like they do in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Newt, do you like my machete? It's very sharp.
Wow, that is a really sharp machete that you're just showing me right there.
Oh, whoa, yeah. I really want you to see it from this angle. Oh my god. Again, if you're watching this in 2D,
you're gonna be like, these two are fucking idiots.
I really do hate old 3D movies because of that.
I think 3 is the first one that I ever saw all the way through, too.
Okay.
It's definitely one of my earliest.
This one I've seen. So, growing up, I eventually owned 1, 2, 6, 7, 4. Yeah. I didn't have 3 for the longest time. So 3 is like one that I didn't really watch that much. But I've grown to like really, really like it. And of course, the most famous thing about this movie.
It's when Jason gets his mask.
It's when Jason gets his hockey mask, which Shelley happened to be there.
Yeah, Shelley just so happened to bring a hockey mask to this trip.
Yeah.
But he also has like, he had a fake axe with a piece of hair in it too that he had.
Yeah,
to
here's the
scare
thing.
them and
there was nothing wrong with Jason's sack.
No.
Like that didn't get messed up.
No, but he
just
saw
leaves
that
it.
and he's like, I like that instead.
Yeah, he really likes that
when
hockey mask.
Yeah, because I love when the first time you introduce him, he just kind of lumbers out onto the dock, shoots the girl in the eyeball, drops the harpoon gun, and just wanders away. And I was like, oh, okay.
They do like some creative stuff where they're constantly obscuring his head and stuff, and then they were like, all right, it's Jason. Fuck it. Put him in a mask.
He's in a mask now.
But whoever came up with the hockey mask idea, genius idea.
It marketing wise, fuck yeah. But it's just one of those things where
Even though no one uses those masks anymore.
No, nobody at the time, even when these movies were made, because I'm a big hockey guy, nobody wore those.
Because someone explained it to me, like a guy got his throat slit, so they started doing those masks that like cover up your throat a little bit more.
And it was Clint Howchuk from the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
Had his throat slashed on the ice by a skate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those hockey masks like weren't the best.
No.
And it's so funny because now, like, well, if we're ever allowed to have another goddamn Jason movie, they're gonna have to keep coming up with reasons for him to use such an outdated hockey mask.
Well, yeah, I do like in Jason Takes Manhattan where he looks up at the like not New York Rangers thing, and it's like a hockey mask. Like, oh, it's me.
It's like they wouldn't be wearing those masks.
No, especially not at that point. Well, especially with the continuity of these movies, like Jason Takes Manhattan takes place in like what 2027.
Oh no, yeah. But yeah, no, once he has the mask, he's pretty good. I love when he kills the guy walking on his hands.
Oh, yeah, when he hacks
just
down.
Slices him in half. That one's pretty cool. I love the final fight, although it doesn't make sense how the gang leader is still alive.
No, because he's whacking him, but they don't show any gore.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, then he comes back, gets his fucking hand cut off.
Yeah. But then we get a little bit of a face reveal with him. He gets like hung, and then he goes to take the rope off. You see his face, and the girl goes, "It's you, the guy who might have raped me. I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know. We weren't explained.
But they keep the mask on for the most part. And then she finally hits him in the face with the axe.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh no! Oh!
Reaching out at you in 3D if you're watching it through Patreon.
Yeah. That part's kind of cool. Where he's like, oh no, that's where
I just like when it comes here and it goes out. It's just that's an iconic shot.
That's cool even outside of 3D. It's kind of cool. And then we get another dream where she's in the water, and then
Jason's mom pops out.
Well, no. Before that, we see Jason. Actually, that part's kind of scary when you see him from so far away.
Oh, yeah.
Without the mask, and he's like running, and then he disappears, and then Jason's mom comes
pops out. And then she wakes up again, and now she's insane.
Yeah.
And she's like playing like insane, and they take her away in an ambulance, and that leads into the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one.
What do you call it? There was an alternate ending to this.
Oh, really?
And I think the makeup was slightly different on Jason.
Okay.
But I think I've seen stills of it where like originally he was gonna like come in and like chop her head off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can find those images, I'll show them.
Yeah.
But I think I remember that. But yeah, no, they went with that ending. We should also mention in part 2 they showed the head at the end, and the eyes were supposed to open up.
Yeah.
And then they decided, no, that's too cheesy.
But they opened part 3 with the head. And the best version of the score, the disco soundtrack.
Yeah. This one has a disco dance
which
theme.
is just awesome.
It's awesome. Totally out of place in a goddamn horror movie. And I think it's even playing in the background when they go to the one store.
But it's just like, wait, you
and it's still Harry Manfredini. I feel like he made that. He's like, fucking, I'm putting it in the movie.
But I've heard it in other places, like where I've been to Halloween stores and they have it playing. I'm like, Halloween or Friday the 13th Part 3 soundtrack.
Could you imagine like being in the theater like with this and just being like, oh my god, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
I'm so scared.
The rhythm is gonna get me, not Jason.
Yeah. But
I actually saw this one in 3D at Exhumed Film Show in Philadelphia. They did it because they had a silver screen, so they were able to project it, and it was actually really cool. They gave everybody cheapo Amazon glasses, and it's actually cool to see it in 3D, but it's really like the gimmicks in it are just like, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
anyway, that was the end of the 3D segment. I'm gonna now hit cut. Cut. Okay. Hopefully that's saved. Oh my God, those hurt your eyes when you take them off.
I know.
I'm like seeing, like my eyes are trying to adjust.
I sat in my living room and I put them on because I put the 3D version on just for like the beginning part. I like how it tells you the first 2 minutes of this movie are not in 3D. It says on the thing. But I sat down on my couch and my cat was staring at me like, the fuck are you doing? Like, whatever.
But yeah, so if you've never seen Friday the 13th, parts 1 through 3, this is the Jason Finds Himself trilogy.
Yeah, it's how Stella got her groove back.
Yeah,
of the
he
Friday
has
the 13th
to.
universe.
That movie has a sad real life ending. Yeah, this is the Jason Finding Himself trilogy. You know, he's dead, and then he finds himself back to life, and then he gets revenge, and then he continues. And
I think it would have been cool if his zombie mom was a bigger part of it. Like that would have been.
They really
cool...
seemed like they were going there.
Yeah.
But
well,
no,
she's got like the worms. coming out of her and stuff.
But no, like I said, I think the first one's the best out of these three. That's the scariest one for me, especially if you grew up around campsites that were like that.
Yep.
Second one, I can do without it.
Yeah, it's like Halloween 2. It's just like it was just clicking boxes, you know.
Yeah, but three is fun because of how ridiculous the characters are.
Because 3 is the turning point of the series. Not only does he get the mask, but like I said, we're in schlock territory now, which leads into 4, 5, and 6. 5 is my favorite, so I'm very excited to talk about.
I can't wait.
5.
Whenever the next Friday the 13th week is. But yeah, so man, I can't wait to enjoy the rest of this November.
Yes,
it's going. No, it's been a rough year. But so far, I would say this November is pretty good.
Yep.
And I'm sure that when this video that's coming out right now on Monday of this week,
in November,
I'm sure it's a really great day and nothing bad has happened. And this week is going to be great.
Yeah.
I can't wait till Friday the 13th this week.
Me too.
And in case they're still streaming Friday the 13th movies on Amazon, we might do a Twitch live stream
which would be
on
fun.
Friday.
Yeah.
If they no longer have those movies, then I'm cutting this part out because we're gonna seem like idiots.
If the country still exists,
which it totally
does, because it's November right now.
Yeah, we're aware. We're aware. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'm trying to do more Patreon stuff. I kind of slacked on Patreon for a bit.
Yeah.
But there were updates for my Hack of the Living Dead, which came out.
I think it was the biggest video ever on YouTube.
I assume it was. Yeah. I assume it was. Well, I know it was.
Yes, exactly. It was that and then Gangnam Style or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did updates on Patreon there, and you could watch the 3D segment we shot for this, which I'm not going to add any images to. It's just going to be us raw in 3D, so enjoy that. Check that out on Patreon. I'll try to do more stuff, and yeah, we'll see you guys later.
We got 9 more of these fucking things to do.
Yeah. Bye.